We welcome you into the Red Fox basketball preview. The court is in session once again in Poughkeepsie. So thrilled to preview this basketball season with some of our best basketball minds here at Marist. Mike Duda, Nate Babcock, Nick Chiarito. I am William Rosen. Guys, basketball's finally back. How excited are you for this season?
Couldn't be more excited. I mean, both teams looking good. You got the fans that are into it, student sections. Everything's great right now here at Marist.
That's right. Lots of shifting on these rosters, roles altering. Who steps up to be determined?
I mean, all of us are big basketball minds. That being said, when can I get you to take your free throws?
Oh, my
people are going to want to know, right?
I know.
He still hasn't?
I know.
No, the people are going to want to know. The people are going to want to know
I
that we know.
initially said I can make
we know what we're talking
6
about.
of 10 from the line. I don't know if that's possible, so I'm holding out as long as I can. Marist already started their season. Men's side facing off against Xavier. Women's side at Albany. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but we take a look back at last season. How did last season go for the Foxers?
It was quite the roller coaster for the men's basketball team. They opened the season 15-3. 11 of those 15 wins decided by single digits, including thrillers against Richmond and this one here against Army. We're going to see Pasquarelli with the top of the key three here to ice the game. The Battle of I-87 here against Siena coming up was the turning point, however. Despite the win, Jackson Price broke his foot, sidelining him for the next 8 games. The next game for Marist found itself on the wrong side of an SC top 10 highlight, losing to Fairfield on a full-court buzzer beater. Marist would go out to close out the season 4-6. Those 4 wins coming by just a combined 13 points. They ended their season suffering back-to-back losses to Mount St. Mary's, losing by 4 in the MAC quarterfinals.
What was going on last season in this Red Fox uniform?
Okay, so they had 20 wins, one of the greatest regular seasons of all time in program history. But you mentioned that they went 4-6 to close the season. They lost their last 5 games, and I got some stats to read off. So when they got their 20th win, offensively they were averaging 68 points per game, shot 33% from the field, just under 46% from the field, 33% from three. In that 5-game losing streak, they're averaging under 54 points per game, shot 23% from three-point range, and under 36% from the field. So they really struggled offensively. Defense, they were able to maintain that throughout the season, but their offensive struggles, that's what held them back. And Josh Pasquarelli, who was their star player, was also struggling during that stretch.
But Josh Pasquarelli was this Marist Red Fox offense last year. He takes a leave. He goes above. He transfers to Colorado State this year. They're without Josh Pasquarelli, who just looked fantastic last year as that number 1 option. They lose Matt McCool, Jackson Price, Travis Roberts, Caleb Macri, and Yager Bascom. They move on to other ventures in their basketball career, but really it was all Pasquarelli, Nick.
I mean, they were one of the worst offensive teams in the MAC last year, but Josh Pasquarelli, he averaged 15.9 points per game. That was 6th in the MAC, first team All-MAC, was a phenomenal shooter, and now he moved on to Colorado State. First regular season game against UIW, they won 98-64. He had 18 points on 8 shot attempts, 4-6 from 3. I mean, his teammates have said that he is one of the best shooters they've ever seen. Keep in mind, they're playing in the Mountain West, tougher conference, and they were 1 point away from going to the Sweet 16 last year.
Very impressive indeed, but someone who's arguably in a better conference, it's not even a college conference, Jackson Price. He's now abroad. He's still with the Foxes, but just in Switzerland, as he's taking his talents internationally, and he was such a big player for them last year. He spread the floor, 35.1% from beyond the arc in his Marist career, nearly 10 points per game, over 4 boards per game, basically 1.5 assists per game. He was a guy that would spread the floor at the 5, allows Marist to get some different offensive looks, and defensively he was pretty solid too, getting those key defensive boards.
Jackson Price departs Marist, and he was kind of that focal figure in the Red Fox locker room for the last few years before this year. He got onto that court when he was healthy, and he stretched the floor, kind of someone we saw in previous years. Before last year, Max Allen II also stretching the floor. Before that, of course, Patrick Gardner stretching the floor. This year, Marist is going to have to learn a little bit without that true shooting big man, but they also get some great additions in place of Price and Pasquarelli, Rajon Blackwell, Justin Menard, Ricky McKenzie, Jordan Gabriel, and Miles Parker join the Red Foxes. Justin Menard, a sophomore transfer from Iona. Rajon Blackwell, a grad student, 25 years of age, trying to bring some of that high-caliber experience to this team.
How about some intelligence as well? The man has written a book. If you were to tell me who would be the best standout player, it's still early. We're only one game into the season. I would have told you Justin Menard, but how about Rajon Blackwell in that first game? He was incredible with just 9 games played at the Division I level prior, about 39% from the field in his career, but 37% from behind the arc. He makes shots, and he makes it work. He gets the shots to fall, and he creates the offense for this team.
That's right. You mentioned Justin Menard. Over at Iona last season, he averaged over a 3 per game and a 3.5 assist-to-turnover ratio through 20 minutes per game. He's a capable shooter. He spaces the floor well and a great secondary ball handler. Stagnant start to the season, but he'll get it going as the season progresses. He's one of the best floor spacers for the Foxes, and Coach Dunn said it best. He's going to get more comfortable within their offensive flow and the expectations they have placed on him.
And let's move over to another one of your roommates, Ricky McKenzie, transferred from Kennesaw State. He did not play in a single game, but in high school he averaged 9 points, shot 36% from 3. He played with and against NBA-level talent. Isaiah Collier was his teammate, played against Jarrett McCain, Bronny James. So there hasn't been much tape on him at the collegiate level, but let's see what he can do if he gets some opportunity and run this year.
All right, and that brings us to our men's preseason poll. Lots of new additions, but a new spot in the poll for Marist, sitting at 5th, middle of the pack, room to improve. Don't really see them dropping much, but we see Quinnipiac at the top, no surprise there. Amari Monroe, the likely player of the year in the MAC. And then we have Siena at number 2, filling out Sacred Heart at 3, Manhattan at 4, and then just below Marist is Iona and Merrimack. Will be interesting to see how the Macs play out.
Nate, I want to talk about just a quick second on this MAC preseason poll, because this conference has changed drastically from what we saw 2 years ago, last year, and obviously this year. But the main focal point is that Quinnipiac team. They retain Amari Monroe, who got offers from such high-level schools, was taking looks at St. John's and Pitt, high-tier schools like those two, but he opted to stay with Tom Pecora and the Bobcats. He had a great article in the New York Post the other day where he said money's not everything, right? And we see it in a mid-major conference like the MAC. It is so hard for these teams to sustain these players. We saw it with Josh Pasquarelli. We see it with Adam Jai. We see it with all these sort of players that kind of view the MAC as a developmental league, a G League, a AAA, but Monroe wants to be a college student, and I think the MAC pollsters, they realized that and gave Quinnipiac that number 1 spot.
Well, William, you showed me that article. It was truly incredible, and you showed me it on the plane to Cincinnati. We had the pleasure of going to Xavier as Marist men's basketball took on the Musketeers in Cincy. Richard Pitino and Xavier in his Big East coaching debut. 5 to go here for the Red Foxes. They'll be down 10 after a really nice start. Rajon Blackwell, he'll get the ball here, and guess what? Draining a 3. That looked nice. The foul as well. He completed the 4-point play and finished with a game-high 24 in his Marist debut. Jordan Gabriel, now a true freshman, working low in the post. He draws the foul as well. The freshman drained both, extending the Marist run to 13-0, giving the Red Foxes their first lead after being down 20 at the half. But Jovan Milicevic connects on a huge 3 to give Xavier a 2-point lead. He finished with 14 in just 18 minutes off the bench. Red Foxes unable to get a quality shot off down the stretch. Xavier takes care of the Red Foxes 66-62 in the season opener, as the Big East squad does take care of the MAC squad, but it got a little interesting there.
It got a little interesting. Let's take a look at that game a little bit closer, and it comes down to 2 things. the Marist defense, which looked fantastic on the backs of Jaden Daughtry. Mike, Nate, I know you say that he is the presumable MAC Defensive Player of the Year, but it also comes down to what's been the plague of this Red Fox team for the last 2, 3, and even 4 years, free throw shooting. The number is a little inconsistent, but we take a look. The first half, they only shot 7 free throws. They went 3 of 7. In that second half, though, they went 14 of 18. But those misses came in clutch moments. It was Jaden Daughtry who just couldn't connect late in the stretch.
And it's important. It goes back to what you were saying, William. They can't hit the free throw, especially down the stretch. Maybe early they're better. And I think in addition, like Rajon Blackwell and Justin Menard, who are true guards and who do a good job at the charity stripe, I think they're going to help. But that's the one big thing for John Dunn after getting his extension. I think he really needs to hone in on that on practice. Hit your free throws. You have to. You're going to lose ball games if you don't, like Xavier.
Blackwell went 7 of 8 from the charity stripe. He had 24 points and 4 boards. This is going to be a player we're going to say so many more times, Nick.
Oh, indeed. But what I saw from Monday's game is I thought the turnovers were a big deal. Xavier was running a trap defense on every pick they set above the three-point line. That got them down 20. Eventually, they moved with more pace. I thought Marist looked better in transition. They were throwing off the when they went ISO, beating their man. Xavier's defense was in transition, they were in rotation, which got them open looks. And Jaden Collins-Roberts, he had some big plays, almost predicted his stat line, as Nate told me earlier.
Yeah, Collins-Roberts, the new captain on this Red Fox squad, John Dunn entrusting him with that C on his jersey in his third year. JCR becomes Captain Roberts. He is now the vocal leader of this Red Fox team in his third year. He brings that energy that he's had for the last 3 years. He has played and started in every single opportunity. Health is wealth. We mention it all the time. Jaden is that vocal piece in the locker room.
That's right. JCR, great leader. But let's talk about his right-hand man, Elijah Lewis, a member of the preseason All-MAC second team. Elijah is as consistent as it gets. He's elite downhill scorer as well as in the mid-range. He's a shot creator, but more importantly, he's a shot maker. Second in the team in points per game at 11.6, and a crucial leader for this Marist squad. He picks his spot well and has a very mature level of decision-making.
Look, keep talking about the offense, but we're basketball guys. We know the importance of defense, especially for this Red Fox squad, and you can't look any further than Jaden Daughtry. 8th in the MAC last year with nearly a block per game, 6th the year prior with exactly a block per game, 4.8 boards per game last year, led the team, 6.3 the year before, mainly defensive boards as well, also led the team. He had 6, a block and a steal on Monday, and he's described as a tough mentality, high intensity, aggressive, and hard play style guy. He shows it. It's almost like street basketball growing up in Queens.
A lot of changes on that men's side, but a huge change as we transition over to the women's side. Marist women's basketball, coached by Coach Erin Dowdy in her third year. They're without Morgan Lee. On a season last year, they went 16-15 overall, 11-9, left Atlantic City without a win. Nick, what happened last year?
Well, it was, you mentioned it, a 10-win improvement from Dowdy's first to second season. That was jump-started with a dominant 73-41 win over Lafayette, giving them a 2-1 start to the season. Fast forward to their first MAC game, a 61-50 overtime win over the Mount. Do you want to know what this game signified, guys? Danny Williamson's breakout game, scoring a career-high 22 points. A month later, after a 70-31 loss to Fairfield, a 20-point win over St. Peter's sparked a 4-game win streak. Then they came off a 1-4 stretch, getting an overtime win over Canisius. This was the beginning of a 4-2 close to the season before they entered the MAC tournament, where they would find themselves playing them out and were down 27 points with 14 minutes left. But Danny Williamson tying her career high with 22 points, sparking a comeback where Jackie Pittick hit a 3 to bring Marist to within 1, giving Julia Corsentino an opportunity to extend their lead, but no dice. What could have been the biggest comeback in MAC women's basketball history. Heart-wrenching defeat for the Red Foxes.
It could have been one of the bigger comebacks in NCAA women's history of all time. Third biggest comeback if that came to fruition off of JC's turnaround jumper. But as we go back to last season, I think the big change we saw was Danny Williamson coming in. Kind of like that men's side. They were going through Zaria Shazer the year prior to last year. They were going into the paint, using Shazer effectively and efficiently, but at the same time, there was kind of a lack of shooting, and Danny Williamson brought that to fruition in Potown.
She did, as did Lexi Tarul, Morgan Lee as well from beyond the perimeter. But not only is it the on-court production for Williamson, it's the off-court things. Last year, and she said it multiple times since, in that MAC game, they were down big. She took the team as the coaches went aside. She was yelling, she was screaming, yeah, might have slipped a couple curse words in there, but it worked. It did their job, and they almost pulled it off. Basically because of her.
That's the Staten Island way, right? You say, I got to speak up, and we see it all the time in New York City. I know you guys kind of want to make this Red Fox team feel present, right? You want the students to come there, but when the leadership starts on the floor, that's when it really blossoms. This season, they're going to be without some of that leadership they've had the last few seasons. Katie Cunningham, Morgan Lee, McKenna Rife, Brooke Jarvis, all departing. A lot of those players, yes, they may not have gotten the minutes that they wanted, but they were vocal points. It's a younger team. It's a younger vibe without Morgan Lee, Nick.
She was their best player last year. All-MAC second team, led the team in points, rebounds, and blocks. She was kind of a do-it-all offensive player. Could hit the three, hit the mid-range, work in the post, led the MAC in blocks, was 11th in the nation in blocks per game. And I think this defense is going to miss her at times. In their first game against Albany, they really struggled, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Now she's at Clemson. She only played 9 minutes in her first game, but had 2 points, 3 rebounds, and a couple of blocks. Not that bad. And not to mention, well, you gave me a stat earlier that was interesting. She scored in double figures 20 times last season.
I don't want to say not that bad. It's Morgan's first appearance in ACC basketball. You got to give her a lot of credit. She came into Marist as kind of an unknown at that 6'5" figure, worked her way up, and I think she's going to be very pivotal for Clemson this year.
And this comes after being at a Big East school in Georgetown. She took the high step at a high school, going to Georgetown, then came lower to the MAC, dominated at Marist, and now takes that step back up to the ACC.
Someone who stayed at Marist for all of her time was Katie Cunningham. She departs the program.
That's right. Katie Cunningham, a key rotational player for the Red Foxes during her time here. Second on the team in offensive rebounds with 36. Third in the team with field goal percentage of 40%, and finished with double-digit amount of blocks with 10. Just an all-around key player on both sides of the ball, Will.
With Katie departing and Morgan departing, obviously Coach Dowdy and the coaching staff needed to replenish some of that production, and they did so in big ways, bringing in Carly Fisher, Casey Bretonis, Elle Brushchuk, and Justine Henry to come in and kind of amplify that offense and spread the floor with emphatic ease.
And on the defensive front, and even on the offensive end, I can't wait to watch Carly Fisher take over here
You've
at
been
Marist.
all Fisher.
I have. With Morgan Lee, was the intention for head coach Aaron Dowdy, put Fisher at the 4, Lee at the 5. Of course, Lee departs, but that's all right because Fisher will take over as a true 5. She only played in one start, played in all 30 games, though, 2 years ago, about 10 minutes per game, shooting around 56%, 2.5 boards, 3.5 points. She had 8 blocks and 7 steals on the year. But then last year, she and Fairfield make the interesting decision together that she is going to redshirt. Why? She wants to improve her game. She wants to improve the knowledge that she has of the program. Yes, she transfers out of that program, but she took a full year off, let herself reset, practice hard, work hard, get better, and that's exactly what I think she's going to do in a Marist Red Fox uniform.
All right, let's talk about Justine Henry.
Another focal point.
Hey, I have an NBA comparison for her.
Oh, no, we're going to get into big danger territory here, Nick.
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 foot wig, 6 feet tall, big wingspan, can score, rebound, pass, great at stealing. She averaged 3 steals in high school, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. She had a decent stat line in her first game against UAlbany. So I think she's going to be a key piece for this team long term.
I don't think it was a decent stat line. I think it was a really good stat line. Yes, the points weren't necessarily there, but she was just all over the place.
Yeah.
Assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. Offensively, defensively, she was great. As let's transition into that MAC preseason poll for women's basketball. Marist slotted at the 4. I think that's a little low personally, but that's all right. Fairfield obviously at the 1. I mean, that's no question. They should win the conference with ease. Unanimously selected at that number 1. Quinnipiac at the 2. The Mount, who beat Marist in the playoffs last year, slotted at the 3. Siena at the 5. Iona at the 6. And that rounds out the top half of the conference. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at how Marist fared in their first game. Yes, it was a non-conference game, but regardless, they go to the state's capital of Albany, facing off against the Great Danes. In the first quarter, Martina Borea catches the Justine Henry sleeping for the bucket, and that was the story all night. As we go on to the second half, Marist to sleep again. Freshman Amaya Stewart gets the inbound, and she bullies her way to the bucket. She would log 17 in her Great Dane debut. 3 minutes later, Laura Lingerman finds a wide-open Delaney Hill. She was nice all night for the 3 to put the Foxes away. She led Albany with 20 points in the win. In the fourth, some positives to look over. Chloe Escanilius hits her third 3 of the final quarter as she would lead the Foxes with 14 in a game that they never led in, as they fall in a pretty dominant fashion, 74-46.
Yeah, it was a tough one up in Albany, but some bright spots to look forward to as we continue this season. It's just the start. It's the first game. It's non-conference play. Nothing matters really until MAC play starts, and I always say nothing really starts until you head down to Atlantic City. And what they're going to try and do is put the team on their back. They brought in newcomers, but they have to look towards Danny Williamson. Danny has just been fantastic. Going into her second year last year, led the team from the charity stripe almost 83%, and that is so vital, especially as that team gets into these clutch moments. They keep games close on the defensive side, but Danny can keep them in it with her free throw shooting. She also went 9.4 points in her first year, came into Poughkeepsie out of Staten Island. Just kind of the undersized, cool, clutch player that this Marist team kind of needed.
How about the other one, though? And I know Nate has a lot to talk about. That other star guard in Lexi Terrell, coming in out of Fordham a couple of years ago. Nate, what do you have on her?
Yeah, that's right. You lose Morgan Lee. You're taking a new approach to this team. Lexi Terrell, a lights-out shooter. Second on the team last year in points per game and led the team with a three-point percentage of 33%. Putting together 13 games with at least 3 3-pointers. Second in blocks, third in steals, an all-around key contributor on both sides of the ball for the Red Foxes and Aaron Dowdy.
It was a great performance last year by her, but at the same time, someone who could bring up the ball, it looks like she's literally dribbling on a yo-yo, is Jackie Pittick.
And she's always playing. The only Fox with 31 out of 31 games started last year. She had the most steals on the team with 36, shooting 80% from the charity stripe, about 3 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, nearly 2 assists to turnover. She was in the NCAA lead for a portion of last season in that statistic, and 5.5 points per game. She'll be on the court. She can guard anyone, 1 through 5, even though she's not the biggest size-wise, and she's a great personality off the court as well. Military aspirations after she finishes her time here at Marist.
2 games played, both away. Marist faces off against Dartmouth on the men's side and Drexel on the women's side. They will return to McCann Arena in a new fashion. A new court set down at McCann Arena, some sponsor logos as well, a new vibe. It's going to look great on the broadcast as these two teams return to Poughkeepsie as they chase a MAC tournament championship. What do both teams have to do to get to AC and actually win this thing?
For the men's side, you got to hit your free throws. We've talked about that. Clean up on the offensive end a little bit. You're playing a Big East school in Xavier, so I'll give them a little bit of slack. But on the turnover side, you obviously have to limit that. And for the women's team, it's kind of the same thing. Shoot the ball. Let Danny Williamson cook. Let Lexi Terrell cook. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what players rise to the occasions. Terrell, obviously Danny Williamson, and for the men, Menard, Blackwell. Who's going to step into that Pasquarelli role? It's going to be exciting to see who fills out these rosters.
Well, you can't really replace a player like Pasquarelli. You need everyone to pick up the slack. And for the men's side of things, hit your threes. They only took 10 threes against Xavier. I'd like them to take a little bit more. Rajon Blackwell was the only one that actually made a 3. Justin Menard, we know he can shoot the lights out, but he didn't get an attempt off. And when it comes to the women's side of things, I'm also sticking with 3-point shooting. I want to see a little bit more off-ball movement. I didn't think there was much of it against UAlbany, and the defense needs a little bit sharper, but Dowdy and Dunn are both great defensive coaches.
Dunn and Dowdy on the defense are looking to get both teams back to the championship game and secure a title banner in McCann Arena. Can both teams do it? That is certainly what they're going to try and figure out as non-conference play continues, steamrolls into conference play. We'll be back for a lot more basketball coverage as this season continues here at the Red Fox Report.